check out some of these pages. We're just waiting for, here we go. YouTube and Instagram are live. All right. Whew. Happy July 5th. So I'm just jumping on to keep everybody up to date on the progress of CROM Anthology number 1. The real exciting news is that there is a complete flip through of this 228-page book on cromthebarbarian.com. Only on cromthebarbarian.com can you sit and watch and listen for about an hour long. Me talking about every piece of content and creator that has contributed or collaborated with me in order to bring this to the public. This is only the mock-up, and this mock-up is going to be available for purchase for a very limited time, limited to the point as soon as the official CROM Anthology number 1 is completed and is released, I will not be selling these anymore. So as a neat little artifact, collectible item, dare I say, you could have basically the the mock-up that it's about like 80% of the way along, maybe 75, but this is basically for me to have a gander at and get a feeling for. And I'm telling you right now, I'm loving the feeling. Everything's coming together really well. And I just wanted to take some time and show off some of the pages that I'm currently finishing. I'm in the process of finishing. Then there's other pieces of the puzzle here to get this together, which, once again, go over to cromthebarbarian.com and watch the video, and maybe even buy yourself a copy of the mock-up, for a true fan. So, and none of this is etched in stone, other than the actual art, story and art. Everything that's in here will be in the official completed version of it. So here's the cover art, the pencils. This is 13 by 19, and I just figured I'd start off by showing this off. One of the things that I'm kind of excited about is that I have a really good friend. It's a fantastic fantasy artist by the name of Matt Stawicki. I was just down hanging out with him last Tuesday. He's got an oversized printer. I'm going to do I think like 14 by 17 inch full color drawing / painting process. And this is what'll happen is I'm going to, as a scan, I'm going to turn this into an orange underlay, because it's all volcanic. This is all, this is the volcano, the lava magma, breaking up and everything. And of course, CROM is standing on it. This big lava creatures over here, and these two maybe assistants here to help him. But to get that started, it'll all be orange, and then I'll just start building everything on there. And of course, I'll be sharing that here live, going through and working on the pages to get them completed. So this is 90% of the way in how my process works. If you've seen my work before, I do what's called an 80% inking, and I'll show you. Here it is. So here you go. So these pages here are 80% inked. In other words, it's just all the pen and ink line art, and this basically gives me the map of then being able to do my distressed looking tone and texture technique, inking technique. So what I do is, in all these pages I'm going to be showing here, which are quite a few. It's 4 stories with 4 times 30 something pages. What I do is I take, these are masking fluid markers. I'm kind of like Frankensteining 2 of them. I love the Molotov masking fluid, but I don't like their pens too much. But I found this one by Ben Cyprin, some Chinese, but really good. The biggest thing though are the tips. They get blasted out pretty quickly, so you have to kind of. So I refill these, redo the tips. This is my refill, and then what I do is I draw in everything white with liquid mask, and I'll also do for the larger areas with a brush some Winsor Newton art masking. So all the pages that you're going to see, this brings me up to the 90%. And what that means is now I can just sit back and sort of do, I don't want to call it corrections, but it's moving things from blacker to whiter and keeping the value, the tonal values there. If you've seen my prior work, this is the CROM Collected 2024, came out August of last year. So, these are my pages, which are the process of my distressed looking tone and texture inking process going through. It's a bit painterly, really leaning into Frazetta, Simon Bisley, Bill Sienkiewicz. So, really enjoy getting this process. And most importantly, when I get to this part in my work, it's the most enjoyable. So I really, really enjoy getting and playing. That's really what happens there. And it's kind of funny because this is the Molotov line, of the liquid masking line that was there. And what unfortunately happened is it stained. But it's going to be kind of interesting. I like error, mistakes, surprises. I really do. This is to rub off and I'm going to show something towards the end. This is just a mask rubbing remover thing. I have about 6 or 7 of these I buy at a time because you go through them pretty quickly. So yeah, it's looking at these pages and then seeing, because, it's all pretty gray now. It's a bit washed out, but there's enough in the way of highlights. I got some lights, and then, some darks come in, push the darks, bring things forward, push things back, and go from there. This is CROM Daring. This is one of the stories that I'm working on based on a 1940s comic out of Canada. Legant was the artist, writer, public domain. Just love the way the story flows, and just felt like just working right over the top of those the page compositions to get a CROM story. And this is a CROM story where CROM has left, the safety of the forest, and is just pirating, I guess, is what happens. But the kind of mystery is that he's tied to this mast. The ship is going down. The ship has been abandoned, and then it ends up landing on a deserted place. We don't know if it's an actual island or just a new land and everything. So it's going to be really fun. Once again, the real fun part of using the liquid mask for me is some of these anomalies, this here as a wave is almost perfect. I probably won't do much. I'm probably going to do more like splattering for the water spray, and then kind of darken these rocks, maybe even giving these this a bit of clarity there, but probably push back with some darker grays, maybe blacks, don't know. at this point when I'm feeling. But you can see that between my pen mark, and these are the original marked up pens, the 80%, and then having the wash, the link, graphite. What I use is a water-soluble graphite that I scrape into this little bin, which I have a piece of sandpaper glued, taped to the bottom of it, and I just scratch it on there. I got a brush and water, and then I just get that in there, and I do it on both sides because I'm sizing the paper as well. So the paper is sized. In other words, it's going to hold. It's not going to buckle too much. I mean, you can see that there's buckling, which is no big deal and everything. One of the other interesting things is all marker pens that are out there have different dyes in them. Blue dyes, black dyes. I think there's even like a brown dye too. But you can see that the high-tech C's that I use for real fine work, right out of Japan. These are some great pens that Jake Jacobs, my comrade in arms for Turbo Pit Fighter. But you can see that it has this like bit of red bleed to it. And I love it. I love it. There's nothing here that's making me go, oh crap, I got to do this all over. It is absolutely the opposite. It has me charged up and challenging. Another thing too is maybe even shadowing this out here just to push back as an element, but not having to really worry about all of the CROM character details. It's really all about this raging storm that's driving CROM to the to shore, and the jagged rocks there ahead. So and the story's kind of obviously of its time. Working from 1940s composition and era of storytelling. Legant was most definitely influenced by Hal Foster, Tarzan, Prince Valiant, and was just coming up with his own little character and story. I think he had like 3 or 4 issues, maybe like 24-page issues and stuff. So I'll be using them to tell this crossing story. It's really just to help me develop my understanding and feeling for CROM as a character, going from bumbling barbarian boy from the forest with a magical sword, going out to live the high adventures, very much like Conan the Barbarian. And then, of course, comes into all of these unexpected things that start transforming him. The biggest transformation segue out of his adventurous life is what happens in CROM and the Warlock of Shard. And there's a lot of material that will be discussed in and presented in CROM Anthology #1. So comes across a gorilla. And by the way, this is all my story, so I'm not using the story. I'm just the 1940 stories. I'm actually using just the figurative composition and even the feeling of the character. The character is very close to what it was in 40s, which I felt was like he felt like a very young, just getting started Robert Plant. So with this pirate, the tight pants, and laced up the side and everything. So he becomes a dandy, a fancy man, as they say, and he's going to go out and become this great adventurous hero and everything, and be able to return to the Azir, which are the people that raised him, and have all these stories and everything like that. And it probably will happen, but it's probably not going to be as joyous of a reunion, from there and stuff. So, there's another deserted ship that he comes across, and there's this map. It's kind of like a video game type of thing, like an old Myst video game I was thinking about. I played it a little bit. My dad was a really big Myst player in the 90s, by the way, I'm going back to. So there's all these elements that he's just going to be crossing, which, are things that are, new to him. and this gorilla is, I don't give too much away, but not a gorilla. I'll leave it at that. Not a gorilla, but this pile of treasure, has a Skullbiter, which now CROM has, and it's fighting this gorilla, which is the gorilla is not really adversarial. And this was one of the major reasons I wanted to use this Golden Age story, just the figurative stance and just the it's just awe-inspiring and stuff. So obviously there's not a fight that's going to happen, but CROM's adventuring off, and he's got to figure out what the hell's going on, and the gorilla, and it's kind of simple, but then the gorilla is bringing him, some more food and becoming friendly is basically the part for that stuff. This was a real chance taking, which was just got a forest back here, but I wanted to keep it very abstract. So as I was filling things in, I just started scribbling and stuff like that. So that's gonna be fun to deal with, because it definitely has to get pushed back. So we'll see how that comes across. CROM Junior. This is a really exciting story here. 6-pager, once again using some Golden Age material. Comic story back in 1943, 45, called Basil the Bold. Basically taking the structure of the pages. More importantly, I wanted some comic relief, cartoony styling, but I too wanted to play around with just a very grounded cartoon, like literally. So having him like a kid, this is literally CROM Junior. And the the shenanigans he gets into and gets out of, and his father, and just life as a barbarian boy. But the other thing was, these pages will be done in color. They will be printed in black and white from now in the CROM Anthology, and I believe I have 6 of these stories planned. Once they are all completed, I would collect them together and print that in color. So these would be a CROM Junior color collection, 6 pages, 6 stories, 36 pages, and maybe even an additional story. Most definitely, actually, an additional story for the collection. So, but that will be, honestly, a few years down the road. We'll see. My wife, actually, when she saw these, she was pretty blown away by it. I as well. Secret here, same process with the gray wash. I laid down the fluid, masking fluid, but before I put the gray graphite wash down, I took washable Crayola markers and just flat laid out in colors. And what happens is, because it's washable, it's not permanent, it's not there, but it's staining. So it was able to get this really cool effect. But I still need to develop and push the pages as I would. It's just going to be in color, printed in black and white, and then the color stories will be collected and stuff. So the story is all mine as well. There's a lot of characters in here that will be revisited in his future that'll come across. Vorak Doomhand is going to be one of them. I love that name. That was a question to ChatGPT, was coming up with cool Sword Sorcery sounding villainous names, and that one was one of the first 10 they put out there. So I grabbed that. That was super cool. So just playing around. But one of the other things that came across in feeling was the similarity, unconscious. This is page 4, I believe. 4, yeah, 4, 5, 6. How close this character is looking to a certain Calvin and Hobbes. So it might be leaning a little bit more into that, a Barbarian Calvin. We got a lion here, maybe Hobbes, but who knows? Who knows what'll come along? But I love the mystery. I love finding things and checking them out and everything. So story's pretty stylized in golden age era storytelling and stuff. Maybe a level of kids thing. And the sword is called the Swinging Sword, a magical sword that he's given to by a knight because he's done all this feats to get to the point where he's going to get the drinking horn, the magical drinking horn, back for his father. So, but doesn't quite work out. So comes along. These pages are penciled by, this is a collaboration between myself and Jason Schoonover. If you're not familiar with Jason Schoonover's work, please do. Jason was one of the first 5 guest artists I reached out to for covers, pinup illustrations. This is his rendition of CROM, and just blew me away. But his work already blew me away before seeing anything like this. It was just his line style, the quality and technique of applying hatching and developing. So reached out to him, got this, and then as I was working into CROM Anthology, asked him if he would like to work with me in plotting out a story and then penciling, laying out that story, and then I would ink it. So this is CROM Bahar, and this is a great story. It's really cool because it's outside the time and space of just sword and sorcery as we kind of like look at it with Viking barbarianism. CROM as millennials and eons later, or what have you, being a god and interfacing with our world. And sort of the effects of that. And Jason and I actually discussed doing a flip story to this, which is a military unit with a press corps documentarian alongside, and they're just going out on a routine check, and then through the routine check, run into CROM the Barbarian. We were talking about having possibly the same story in reverse. So it would be CROM coming through the cave and then coming in contact with this military group. So we'll see. Would love to keep working with Jason Schoonover. As a matter of fact, I will be contributing my inking to one of his works for a collection of works that he's putting together currently. So I'll be helping him promote that. So be on the lookout. But Jason Schoonover, SCHOON over Schoon.art. You can get him on there, but please check him out. I just think he's a fantastic indie creator, comic book creator. I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to spoil the story, because it just has a really cool ending and everything. So I'm going to jump to my last story, which I'm actually in the middle of rubbing off the liquid masking. So this is CROM sister Lala. This is a reminder for me once I do have all the pages the liquid masking removed from it is I need to scan the pages at this 90%. So, and the time machine. CROM is a character created in 1950 by Gardner Francis Fox, just Gardner Fox. Don't know him. You're missing out on some fantastic stuff. He loved Sword and Sorcery, and it pokes through his stories. But he also, I believe, he loved playing with time and space. So his stories are real pulpy in a vintage way. Not grounded in reality when it comes to science, but playing with the terminology of time and space and what it means and relevance to, little people like ourselves in what we have come to understand. So this is actually going on at the same time as the ending of CROM and the Warlock of Shardor. Not directly, but that's the placement in time is Lala is still with the Azir caravan, and she has been given back. Somebody has found CROM's sword, Skullbiter, and has brought the sword back to the Azir. And of course, Lala, being his sister, is holding on to it and is waiting. But she's also lamenting. There's rumors that he has been killed from this side of the world. And she just doesn't believe it because she feels in her bones that he's not dead. He's still out there. He's too strong to have been taken away. So she's holding on to it, but she's also dying to know what has happened to him. So this story, it's a little wonky, but I wanted to just really play out a lot of elements. Sexy Lala, we got as a sister, then also the Azir have taken some time to not caravan, not being nomadic. So they've kind of positioned themselves with some more stability and huts for that and everything. And then there's some contention going on about that. And with that being said, there's a little drama happens among the Azir, some magic. But the bigger part of it is that Lala is very much indecisive about whether she should stay with the Azir and wait for CROM or go out and find CROM. So that's really kind of the pivoting point that this story holds. Here, there we go. So this is what I kind of wanted to work to was this is, I'm just going to get the other, this is I got 3 more pages to get rid of the masking. Now, the way my camera is, I'm just going to apologize that as I'm taking this off the table, moving, the camera's going to bounce around, but I'm hoping it'll sort of make it stable. But as you can see, it's pretty gritty and grimy because I've washed over the top of it this graphite, water-soluble graphite with a brush. The masking fluid is now protecting the page as best as it can. And of course, I've laid out the masking fluid in order to create light in the drawings, and and then you get what these are called boogers. So I'm just going to take a minute here and take away the rest on here, and then I'm going to go back to the CROM Daring page and start putting in some black color pencil to give you an idea in my process creatively, thinking wise, because I know a lot of people as they come across this might think bit excessive. Why spend so much time on on comic book pages, but it's my process. You know, this is not something I came up with, overnight. This is years from art school on. And, as I've gotten older, it's now gotten to a point where I am not very flexible in maybe getting people, more people with eyes on my work. In other words, oh man, it really looks like Simon Beasley did. I don't want to be a copycat artist. I've done that. I've done that a lot. I really want to be me, and I want to go through an exploration. So even my style is going to constantly be explorative. I don't want to just have a quote unquote recognizable style. Maybe what it is in the technique, though, it ends up being, oh, that looks like something Kurt Bruegel did. Oh, he did do that, because the thing I'm really looking forward to is collaborating with others. As I said earlier, I collaborate with a guy by the name of Jake Jacobs. We work on Turbo Pit Fighter, which has her own YouTube channel. You can look up Turbo Pit Fighter. We get together every Sunday at 10 a.m. and work on these pages side by side. We're the only two people doing it. Jake is a primary writer. He is the penciler. I am the inker, using the same technique, and also manage the podcast. So we have split duties. It's an amazing collaboration, partnership. So really excited. We are just getting around the corner to finishing the next set of 6 pages, and then we will be launching Doom Magazine's issue 1 featuring those 6 pages for Turbo Pit Fighter, and then have other bonus material. A lot of material written and illustrated by Jake from the Substack, and then a 6-pager from Ken Landgraf, 10-pager from Alex Turbin, and then I believe it's going to be a 6-pager by a brand new artist just getting out of art school, Smitty. And some pinups and everything. So keep an eye out if you love indie comics. You love what I get into when it comes to making process. You'll get more of it over there. So very exciting, very, very, very exciting. So that's pretty good. But now you can see, some things are clearer, but other areas need more clarity. And with that being said, what I end up doing, I'll just get it a little organized here for 1 second. So like I said, I got to get back to. So this is the CROM Daring page. Yeah, all right. And what I do from here, and usually what it is I do is I just use color pencils. The water-soluble graphite can be erasable, but because it's been washed into and sized to the paper, it does stain. Stain meaning it's now a part of the paper material. So, which is fine because I like the distressed look. I don't like clear, clean, white, crisp. I don't care for it at all. But I do care for the tonality, black and white, and texture at the same time. So that's my goal in wanting to achieve that. Just got a hold of these Konar woodless color pencils because just grab this here. I've been wanting to check these out. More importantly, Prismacolor used to put out, which were art sticks, STIX, but they discontinued them a long time ago. I did buy, oh, here actually, right here, art sticks. Now you can imagine a color pencil, you know, as a wooden color pencil. You know, it's just like a pencil, but you know, you're getting a good, decent point and everything, but you don't get a wide, like, so I can get that with an art stick. So if I really want to kind of like blast in something. Pencil being though, I can erase. Not so much like erasing back to the white, but stain. So if something like, here you go. Now, I did this on purpose. Just went out of the line a little bit. And you can see now, it took that up and even some of the liquid masking. So, you know, things aren't permanent other than my inking, which is all in that 80%. But, and by the way, this is a tool I believe every artist should have, is an electric eraser. There's hundreds of these things out there. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I just got a new one. The thing is like, probably could drill holes through concrete. So I'm getting used to it. I've been using these since '93 when a friend of mine introduced me to them back then. So it just you can draw with an eraser. That's the whole point. But this daring, I wanted it to be just, I didn't want it to be just flat black. I wanted there to be some texture inside. So I just left it. Then having the gray wash in there, you know, you can kind of see how things, you know, will start separating. But it's not, the black is not 100% and flat. That's not what I'm going for. You know, I'll be kicking levels up in Photoshop when I've scanned the final pages and I'm prepping them for print, but it's not going to be that much difference. I'll use areas like this to make sure that I keep close to you know, what I see here in the real pages and the effect that it's given me and made me go, ooh, yes, that's the feeling, that's the look. But here you can see real quickly how that comes along. Now, other than this white here, and then the white going out here, and then the white coming down here, it's still a bit gray. So some decision making is going to have to come. One of the things I'm feeling right now is some dark gray, cool gray color pencil in here to kind of create a separation from this and this. Maybe even coming back in with a high C pen. I'm just playing out in my head, like possibilities. Just, you know, this is what I do when I'm not at my drawing table. My brain is thinking of these things. Like, oh yeah, that first page, CROM Daring. I think what I'll do is something like maybe this, you know, and then get up the next morning, the page will be there and I'll do it and see what happens and go from there. Some of the other instruments I use are black, white, and gray paint markers, black, white, and gray gouache, color pencil. Oh, even pencil, just regular graphite pencils to work in areas, you know, just to create a little shifting difference there, going from there. So, you know, that is where I'm at. With the pages. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody who jumped on. YouTube alone, I know I've had a couple people there here with me. Looks like the chat kaputted is unavailable at this point. So if you wanted to say something, everything, you can make it in the comments later. But I really do appreciate you stopping by, and a couple people. I believe my compadre, Jake Checkups, is on Instagram. Hi, Jake. See you in the morning, 10 a.m. sharp. So with that being said, I'm going to put a close on it. Like I said, I wanted to just give everybody a heads up where I'm at, progress. One other thing I want to say is low to no stress. There's just a lot of things going on in the world, personally and intimately with myself. Nothing tragic, no worries out there or anything, but just being anxious and trying to get things accomplished, and especially this project, this book particularly. But I'm no longer in this mode or trying to stay in a I gotta get it done, and that becomes the most important thing. I gotta get it done. It's all about getting to the drawing board, enjoying myself, and making things work, make sense, but at the end, having fun, because then that's what I want to reflect in this. 228 pages right now, maybe counting. I just received a 2-pager pinup of CROM by the Jim Gullett, who I adore his work. As a matter of fact, let me just take a quick, there we go. There's so many other CROM comic book collections out there, and CROM creators, I should say. As a matter of fact, Jamie Barrows and the guys, Barbarian boys, Brutal Blade of CROM is getting going. I'm going to be reaching out this week to Jamie because we're going to have some really decent heavy promotion from CROM the Barbarian. Don't know if we're going to be coming out at the same time. I'm probably about 2 months away from actually having a reality of what my drop date is. But anyhow, Jim Gullett just put this together. These are the original pages from this was one of the first, next to Adam T. Bennett, the first 2 CROM creators out there that were working completely on their own. Adam T. Bennett just came back. He is in, here he is, with his CROM story. And he's fully committed to CROM Anthology, all of the anthologies that are going to be coming. Excited to have him. Jim Gullett is working his magic. He's got things out there. He's got other things going on, which is perfect. But I consider his CROM, especially this face here, his CROM just in my head, especially in the facial structure and look, is what I feel CROM should look like. Like Conan the Barbarian, the real Conan from Robert E. Howard was not a handsome, daring hero type that Marvel Comics turned him into. It was a pretty Texas oil rig, heavy drinking, smoking, bar fighting brute, with a heavy dose of intelligence. I hear, another one. So, if you're a big indie creator, comic collector, you really like the style, indie comic creators like Jim have, hit him up, do a CROM collection search, Google. Etsy is his shop. He just established that, and he just set up a new Instagram account for that as well. So there's going to be a lot of material from here on out that's going to be promoted and collaborated with the CROM Anthology. But I'm looking at the clock, just about 45 minutes in, which is what we're always trying to shoot for, especially Jake and I, keeping them bite-sized. Can't thank you enough. I know it's a holiday weekend. I know maybe you've snuck a couple seconds out or maybe made it this far. I can't thank you enough. But the most important message is, if you really want to stay in touch with what's going on, you need to be at cromthebarbarian.com. Save it to your browser as a bookmark. Join the mailing list. Like I said, I do a 1-hour walkthrough of all the stories and artist collaborators, contributors, 162 pages, giving you a really decent idea of what's going on with this. And you can buy a copy. I'm going to be offering copies for sale. of this not made in concrete like layout per se, because a lot of things are going to be changing. A lot of things are going to happen until when this becomes completed and released and live in the public. So it will not be offered from then on out. This is really for the super fans out there, the people that really do care, do want to collect, do want to support. So other than that, look, thank you so very much. I enjoy doing this as being an artist, and I just hope I bring some escape to your life. But thank you very much, and may CROM be with you. Take care.